It is time to breathe again on the latest breath of fresh air webcast, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So, along with Patrick Brackett, I'm Charles Taylor, and Patrick, we have a lot of football to cover. So, lots. Uh, College and the pros. The NFL began the first week on Sunday. Well, last Thursday with the Bills and the Rams. More on the NFL in a minute, but first, we are going to look at the college football games that happened over this weekend, and we're going to look forward to next weekend's games. So, Patrick, what caught your eye about this weekend? Uh, full disclosure here. So, both of us, I know we're going to talk about that Alabama Texas game. I'm a Texas fan. Of course, as y'all know, I am hurting a little bit, but I'm also proud. But we'll talk about that one in bigger detail a little bit later. So, with that caveat, Patrick, what other games caught your eye?
Um, so there was a lot of them. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Alabama and Texas, but that was one of them. The the Texas A&M and Appalachian State.
Oh, yeah, we're going to hit that one up too.
You're going to hit that one, dude? Okay. So I'll hold off on that one.
All right.
Marshall, Notre Dame. Here we are. I mean, how many times do I got to say it? How many times you got to say it? Notre Dame's overrated. Okay. So, and Broody was offsides. That's how many
Yes, I
times
was about to throw that in there for you too.
The BYU Baylor game, dude. I flipped back. I watched a little bit of that one like on my phone as I because so everybody, Charles came and stayed the weekend with me, and first time we have seen each other in like what we 10, 12 years,
Yeah.
like in person. So he came to me for the weekend. So I did a lot of stuff in my garage while he was watching some football game. We played some football with the kids and stuff. So it was a good time. But I did catch the BYU game been on my phone. So the games, the Kentucky Florida game, that one was a good one. I mean, that went back and forth. You making a statement against Southern Utah.
Yeah, they were upset from last week. So
they were very mad. Tennessee Pittsburgh. That was a good game. I had Pittsburgh winning that game the whole time, and then Tennessee showed some grit out there. Apparently, that was one of those that we flipped back and forth to on as well. The Washington State Wisconsin game. I saw the highlights on that one, dude. That one was pretty good. Now and I'll stop there because that's more of the top 25. But man, there was a lot of good football out there.
there was, man, and I'll throw a couple of other games on there. One was the Oregon State Fresno State one that turned out to be pretty good late, and Oregon State pulled that out like late, like last play. So I said on the show that I was high on Fresno State because I just like teams that will just go and play you anywhere, that will just play you in a hotel parking lot and don't care about it. Fresno State is yep, Appalachian State's one of those teams too.
The Georgia Southern Nebraska game.
Okay, so about that, Patrick, on that note, the Sun Belt Conference, they ruled this week. Appalachian State won, Marshall won in Notre Dame, and you just mentioned Georgia Southern winning in Nebraska, and that ended up being the last game Scott Frost will coach for for Nebraska. They ran him the next day, so so that ends a unsuccessful and underwhelming performance as the head coach at Nebraska for Scott Frost. And you remember Scott Frost was coming off of that undefeated season he had as the coach with UCF, Central Florida. And he came up there to Lincoln, looked at as the savior, We know he played quarterback for the school as well back in the day, but it just couldn't get over the hump, man. Just could not. They could not make plays, and it was the same thing the other night against Georgia Southern. You're up 42-38. You can't get a stop. You can't make a play to clinch the game away, and that's basically the story of Scott Frost's tenure at Nebraska. Just can't finish. Could not finish games, and it just turned into too much, and now he's out. So, you mentioned the other games, Baylor, BYU. I was actually watching that one, going back and forth between that one, and I caught a little bit of Mississippi State and Arizona too. Mississippi State is going to give some teams in the SEC trouble with that offense. Yeah. They can score. But that Baylor BYU game was good. Double overtime there, back and forth, hard-fought game. BYU pulled that out. And the Kentucky and Florida, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, both of those games, they were close. Well, the Tennessee, Pittsburgh, that one went to overtime too. Tennessee showed some defense, Patrick. They showed a little bit of defense. So if they can show a little bit of defense, that makes them kind of dangerous. And then Kentucky and Florida, man, look, Kentucky just wore Florida down at the end of the game. So I don't know how much you caught of the game at the end. But I think Billy Napier, the Florida head coach, he let it get away from him. Started to panic, making a lot of coaching decisions. So you're down 23-16. You're down one score. You have the ball at your own 25, 30-yard line. You can punt the ball. You have 7 or 8 minutes left. Play defense, see what happens there. He started going for it. He did it twice. Went for it deep in his own territory, missed them both times, and next thing you know, Kentucky's basically in field goal range just with the stop. And I just think what happened with Napier was he felt Kentucky's offensive line starting to take over. Kentucky was starting to get a really good push, and it was wearing Florida's defense down. So he felt he had to take that momentum back. Didn't happen. And so
in Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it worked out for him.
Mm-hmm. And look, and you like the guys who are being aggressive, but at the same time, you just want them to be a little bit more calculated with it, be a little bit more sensible. And I think Billy Napier, this will be kind of a learning experience for him to just to be more calculated with it. I think he kind of had that Lane Kiffin syndrome, where the moment kind of got the best of him when Lane Kiffin was coaching against Alabama last year for Ole Miss. I think Napier kind of had a little bit of that as well. So it's a learning experience for him. But Kentucky, they look strong, looking stout.
Yeah, really good too. So I agree.
Well, Patrick, so before we get on the main topics with college, what games are you looking forward to this weekend coming up?
So I got a couple of them. Miami, Texas A&M. We're about to. I bring these up, and I bring them up for one reason. Obviously, they're both ranked. You got to mention the ranked games. All right. But I bring this one up is because how does Texas A&M bounce back? I want to see. Right. I want to see how well they bounce back and what Jimbo Fisher's he's got, because this is now you have a team that's built to quote beat Alabama. Come on now. And you started out ranked 6th. You were highly recruited. And we all say it's great to have a high recruiting, but do you have the coach to coach those recruits? I never think that he did. I don't think that he did. So I want to see how well they bounce back. Plus, I want to see how well Miami handles what Texas A&M is going to bring, obviously. So I bring that game up because of those two scenarios, because Texas A&M is going to chip on their shoulder, and Miami is going to have to learn to deal with that. So I want to see how both of those teams do. Where's it at? Michigan State and Washington. That's an interesting game to me. Very interesting. Washington matches up really well with Michigan State, so I want to see. I want to see how well Michigan State handles that. So it's a
That's
very interesting
Seattle
game.
too.
What's that?
I'm sorry. That game's in Seattle too, so that would be pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very very interesting game. The what's the other one? I'm trying to find it. Give me 1 second.
Yep, no problem.
It's right here. I'll find it. Penn State Auburn. That's going to be a good game.
I got a rematch from last year.
Yeah, rematch from last year. I want to see how those two teams play out. I want to see if this Ole Miss offense is as high powered as it could be, because I mean, obviously they're playing Georgia Tech, and I bring it up because this is where Lane Kiffin is going to find out if he can, if that high powered offense really can put up some points. So see it. So I bring up the Ole Miss Georgia Tech game because of that. I want to see it up those points like this offense is supposed to. Now it's week 3. You've got a lot of that rust knocked off. You got some good hitting in 1 and 2. So let's see if that offense is as high powered as everybody says. Let's see if he can put up 60. I want to see if he could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
BYU and Oregon. That's going to be an interesting game. That's going to be a very interesting game. I'm going to watch that one because BYU showed something against Baylor, and I'm interested now. I want to see. I haven't said this. I haven't said this about. There was one more game. Baylor. Mentioned Baylor. See how Baylor back, because Texas State is. I mean, they're not like a great team, but they're right down the road from each other. I want to see Baylor bounce back from that BYU. See if they're advertised. So, obviously, I watch Georgia, Alabama, those games, but I want to see those.
All right, man. I have one. How about this Texas Tech and NC State game? So that one could be interesting. That one will be in North Carolina in Raleigh, and it's one of those things because North Carolina State. A lot of people kind of have them as a dark horse to win the ACC, and this will be an interesting test for both teams to see where they stand. Texas Tech has gotten off to a good start. They beat Houston last week in overtime. Had a lot of overtime games last week, but they that would be a good one to watch later on Saturday night. You mentioned Penn State and Auburn. The Oklahoma-Nebraska one is interesting to me because we just mentioned Nebraska. They just lost their head coach. See how they come in there and play with a new regime, a new direction. And that game will be in Lincoln. We know Nebraska played Oklahoma tough last year. Now they got them coming up there. Nebraska's just has some tough losses. So we'll see maybe if they can finish. And I mean, Oklahoma, they've had an easy schedule up to this point. I mean, they played Kent State and Utah. So now they get to go on the road. And this will be a pretty good test, I think, for the new coach, Brent Venables, to see what he's able to do in a hostile environment now. Because, I mean, it is always tough to win in Lincoln. That crowd will be into it. You mentioned the BYU Oregon game. There was one more. Oh, yeah. Of course, as you know, Patrick, I'm high on Fresno State. They play USC this week. And so I want to see.
They do.
Yep. And so I want to see how USC, this new high-powered offense under the new coach Lincoln Riley, they're going to handle some of this physicality because Fresno State's going to come at them. They're going to be physical. They're going to try to rough them up. And I just want to see how USC handles that. That would be one of those Pac-12 after dark games. I think it comes on at 10.
Nah.
Not
9:30.
Yeah, 9:30 Central. So so that would be a late night, but I'll probably be staying up watching that one for a little bit, as long as it's good anyway.
Yeah, Fresno State runs away with it.
Yep, I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, Patrick. All right, man. Well, we're gonna stay in the state of Texas for these next couple of topics because you mentioned the Alabama-Texas game and the Appalachian State-Texas A&M game. So where I'm going with this is both Texas teams lost, but the feeling from these losses are completely different. Completely different. If you're a fan of the Longhorns, like I am, a part of me, okay, the biggest part of me is proud of the team. Yeah, y'all remember this, that you mentioned I was down there hanging out with you and the fam. You was asking me throughout the week, how do I feel? Do I still feel good? And I told you, I said, I do. I feel pretty good, at least for the first half. I think we could give it them in the first half, and then we'll see what the second half. Yeah, and you said third quarter, and so I said, let's see where these adjustments go, and if we can get to the fourth quarter, hey, we're making strides there. And of course, for those who watched the game, saw it, Texas probably should have won the game. Even our homeboy Bear, who has come on here sparingly, and
I'm happy you finally told me congratulations. That's all I'm happy about.
It's about time. I know, being sort of loser status and stuff, but but yeah, he called you and said congratulations. For those of y'all who don't know, our boy Bear is a huge Alabama fan. I won't 100% buy him as an Alabama fan. Y'all just have to tune in. Y'all would have to tune in for the story. Like we'd have to do one of those breath of fresh air after hours shows, so you can get the.
We'll bring him on.
Yeah, we'll get there. That'll be the next creation.
Just understand, don't bring the kid.
Yeah, you're right.
Just a fair warning. Because that one gets pretty.
Yeah. But Bear is a big Alabama fan. And even he told me, I talked to him today, and he said, we should have won. Texas should have won that game. The disappointing part is that we did have a lot of opportunities there that we let slip away. It had 5 red zone opportunities. We only scored 1 touchdown. We're not going to beat teams like Alabama that way if we let all those opportunities go. And when you have a quarterback like Bryce Young, you cannot continuously give him chances. He's going to burn you eventually. And in the fourth quarter, he got hot. He made plays. That duck he did on the free corner coming at him, that one made me sick. Yeah, that one made me sick. I can't.
Right there, dude. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, y'all just got beat right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, but if you're a Texas fan, I think overall you should be proud of the team. They competed. They hung with Texas went into this game. What, Patrick? The line was 20 and a half? They were almost 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, 20 and a half. Alabama was supposed to win 20 and a half. So
yeah, they were 3 touchdown underdogs. And then Texas came out there, they battled, and it looks like Steve Sarkisian is starting to get the team to where they can be, Texas again, coming back to prominence. I know, Patrick.
Say it. Everybody thought I was crazy. Texas is more SEC ready than Oklahoma. Saturday proved it. Just saying. Starks got it, man. As long as he keeps those boots there, Starks got it.
Yes. Oh my goodness, we have a Jonathan Morgan sighting. Oh my God. That's what's up. Good to
Wow.
see you on. I know. Good to see you, Jonathan. Yeah, very good to see you. And I don't know if you just tuned in, Jonathan, but for me, I'm proud. I'm all right with this, man. I mean, because everybody was saying how we were going to get blown out. We should have won that game. We should have won it, but we didn't. We didn't pull it out. You give Bryce Young credit. You give Alabama's players credit. The big time players like Bryce Young, Will Anderson had a big sack at the end too. Give those guys credit for stepping up and pulling the game out. And
Mhm.
and you see his comment about you, who's more SEC ready.
Hey,
Jonathan's just mad because you said Texas more ready than Oklahoma. That's all.
hey,
But
I call it like I see it. That's all I'm saying.
so
Now, don't get me
so
wrong. I'm not saying that Oklahoma's not going to do good. They're going to do good, but I feel Texas is more prepared for it.
so with Texas, before we move on to Texas A&M, because Jonathan mentioned Texas A&M,
Yep.
and you did earlier as well, Patrick. Um, it's an interesting game coming up. They got UTSA coming in, and it's your classic trap game there. You put a whole bunch into that game with Alabama. And then after this game with UTSA, it's Big 12 conference season. You're getting right into it now. So this is a game, if you're Texas, you have to be careful. And it's also going to show how much Texas is growing. Take care of these games, you should win. UTSA is scrappy, but Texas should be able to win that game. And yes, I do agree with you on that, Jonathan. Quinn Ewers was balling before he got hurt. He was making
He
some
was,
throws.
man. He still had
Before.
more passing yards than Card did in half the time.
Right. I mean, yeah, dude, Ewers was balling. And Xavier Worthy was getting down the field on him. And I say, hey, man, Bear, our boy Bear, he said it. Alabama fan. He said they escaped. He said they probably shouldn't have won that game. So that's all I need to know. So so overall, I'm feeling good about Texas. I do feel like we're in the right direction, but we have to take care of business going forward against UTSA and then going on to the Big 12 conference season. Nah, man, the mullet's his look. Leave the mullet alone, Jonathan. That's his look. He could look like Joe Dirt as long as he can spin it. So
Hey, I'm just saying.
As with Texas A&M, completely different feeling after this loss. You had them get beat by Appalachian State 17-14, and it probably wasn't even that close, Patrick. I mean, A&M had one of their touchdowns on a kickoff return. Appalachian State was dominating in that game, or at least pushing them, but solidly controlling it. Teen Wolf, I like that. But this is where I'm going with A&M, Patrick, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Jimbo Fisher signed a 10-year deal. 10-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
To be the coach there in College Station. I mean, time goes fast. It is year 5 now. He is in his 5th year of this contract. And A&M, they're nowhere close, man. They are not even close to being a competitor for a SEC West Division crown right now. They're nowhere close. Like, I mean, now maybe they get into the SEC season and they might start to come up and I mean, maybe not surprise some people because I mean they were highly ranked, so a lot of people expected the Aggies to do something, but it's not happening right now. It is not coming together. So
did I hear you right? That they might.
I don't think so. Me personally, I don't think so. But hey, anything's possible.
Hey, anything's possible, and it's the reason, right? So I see where you're going with it, but it's like this. You're in year 10, right? They signed this man to a 10-year, what was that, like $100 million. He's getting paid like $10 million a year. He's one of the highest paid coaches to ever sign that contract, and probably still is even to this day. Contact. But he recruits well. But just like I said, when we were watching, he recruits well. But does he have the coaching capability to coach those recruits? And he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't get he doesn't like a Nick Saban or a Kirby Smart or a Starkey or even at this point even a Lane Kiffin. These guys bring out the better part of their players. So when these players are hitting the field, you're taking 11 and you're offense, or you're making an A defense. Maybe half A's and half B's, but yet these B's are stepping their game up because they're well coached. That's the difference. Well coached in Texas. Here we are 5 years. Hey, give somebody 4 so they can start getting their recruits in, start doing all the things that they need to do in their system. And but then you look at what they're going against. They're going against Alabama. They're going against Arkansas. They're going against Appalachian State. I mean, they can't even win Appalachian State, much less win their own conference. So to me, even if they're wanting to make this kid, a winning season is not going out and beating Alabama, but losing to Appalachian State. It's a horrible system, and I don't know what Jimbo Fisher is doing. But he's not going to win an SEC championship doing this, much less a national championship. And even if we go to 12 teams, which has been approved and is looking like, not next year, but the year after, 2024, he's still not even going to make it in the top 12. So I don't know what he's doing out there. To me, it's a failed experiment. Honestly, my personal, it's time to move on. I'm not a huge fan of firing 5 years. This guy did a horrendous job.
Yeah, and I think looking at Jonathan's comments here. So I mean, you have
I'm reading them.
Yeah, and look, and he's right. You have that was it that year in Florida State where they won the national championship with Jameis Winston, and that was it. And then he left Florida State in complete and utter shambles on top of that too. So I mean, you have Jimbo Fisher, like you said, he's a very good recruiter.
He said exactly what I said.
Yeah.
It sounds good.
He's a very good recruiter. He can get the talent there, but yeah, and it's something we say on the show. You have to be able to coach that talent once you get them there. And what I see from Jimbo Fisher more often than not is when things don't go his way, he loses his mind. He's yelling at people. How many times have you seen Jimbo Fisher just yelling down the quarterback, yelling down this player, yelling down that player? And sooner or later, if you do that too much, you're going to lose those players. You are not going to be able to communicate with those players like you think you are. And just because you're making more money than God, that doesn't mean these other players, especially now that these players are getting NIL deals, they're not going to care. They'll go into the transfer portal real quick. And so, right. And so it's just, this is looking bad. Like you said, it's looking like a failed experiment. And he's halfway through this contract. It's not like we're in a honeymoon period. Year 1, maybe year 2. 3rd year, you should start to make some strides. And yeah, you can go ahead. So to answer Jonathan's question, actually this past year,
2022, he had the number 1.
Yeah.
So overwhelmingly the number 1.
Yeah. So
I mean, he put in 14 5 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, so we know he can recruit, but he just has a tough time coaching that talent. And again, it's not a honeymoon period anymore. That honeymoon period is long gone. This is year 5 in a 10-year deal. Year 5. By year 3 or 4, you should kind of have things going to where you're at least competing for a title. Maybe not necessarily winning it because you do have Alabama, you do have Georgia, and some of your other teams in the SEC. But they're not even close. I mean, they had 4 losses in conference last year, and and I don't see
Yeah,
any reason
and they
to
beat
believe.
Alabama.
And so yeah, and so I don't see any reason to believe there won't be another 4 losses this year in conference. I don't see it. And so his next honeymoon will be in Alaska. Well,
I don't think he gets another coaching job.
yeah, he might go to coordinator status.
He'll be calling Nick Saban.
Yeah, the Nick Saban coaching rehabilitation program that he has going on.
Nick will be like, I failed with you, but I won't fail with you again.
Right.
Come on board. I don't know what it is that I did that you didn't get, but I'm gonna fix it. Come on. I'll hire you again.
So yeah, Patrick. So to sum it up, man, yeah, there are 2 biggest schools in Texas, in the state of Texas. Both they had losses, but Austin is feeling a lot better than College Station right now. When it comes to going out to their losses.
How do you explain to me how you lose and get knocked into the top 25?
I guess that's what happens when you take the number 1 team in the nation to the limit.
now this as well as Texas played, Alabama helped them out a lot. 15 penalties?
Yeah, 15 penalties.
I would love to be a fly to hear what Nick Saban had to say about that in the locker room.
Yeah, Alabama was completely and utterly undisciplined in the game. They had 15 penalties. So I mean that I don't even know if Alabama has that many penalties in a year.
Well, one game. But and they were, and this is what got me, is that they were dumb penalties, sportsmanlike pass interferences that just, I mean, you can't do them right, and then they do it again. I'm like, a team that, but yeah, those. They didn't help themselves. Alabama definitely didn't help themselves towards that win. But like you said, you got to give credit to that Alabama offense and Bryce Young for just main composure and picking up where the defense screwed them. The defense was screwing them royally that entire game.
Yeah, and so before we move on to the NFL, Jonathan left a comment talking about the sports writers wants Texas and USC to be back so bad. I keep on hearing that like every time I hear Texas is back, I'm the first one, as you know, to say, dude, we're not even close to being back. Let's win a conference first if we can get there. Like if we can get there. What, 7-5, maybe 8-4? Yeah, the QB situation. If our QB situation is good, we can get 10 wins, and we'll beat you on the Red River Shootout, Jonathan. I'm willing to go out. If you're going to go out on limbs, I'll go out on limbs too. We'll beat you on the Red River Shootout, and hopefully we can carry it on through. But let's go on to the NFL. I know Jonathan's not going to let that comment go I just made, so I accepted this. So I knew it. There it is.
We're all comments and anticipation going.
We'll put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in that, Jonathan. Put a pin in that. But in the NFL, Patrick, this was the first week of the NFL getting their regular season going. What games caught your attention from this past week?
All right. This right here
Oh,
is bull crap. That's what that is. 16-point lead. I mean, seriously. Look. I get it. Even and everybody will be like, "Well, rebuild mode." I don't give a crap. You blew a 16-point. Atlanta Falcons, Jonathan, is full of gold. That's what that is. It was so frustrating because I mean, and this is what's crazy. Mariota played well. I didn't even like this pick, and he probably played better than most quarterbacks did all week.
yeah.
Minus Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Just so you know, Patrick Mahomes can still play football. I think a lot of people might have forgot because Tyreek Hill left, but he can still play football.
Yeah, he can still play football. And yeah, Falcons are a sham. Absolutely. So heated that they couldn't win against the damn Saints at home. So frustrating. Very disappointed that the Saints was able to throw up 17 in the fourth quarter. And I'm sorry, Winston's not that good. He's just not. It looked to me like the Falcons out of steam. I'm gonna tell you right now, I will put them on this if they lose next week, and we won't talk about the Falcons all for another season. Charles, I'll do it.
Hold on, wait a minute. So I'm looking at Jonathan's comment here. Okay, Texas cancer. Hey, Patrick Mahomes is from Texas too. There, Jonathan. Don't forget that. All right, not everything from Texas is just kind of cancerous. I'm just saying. And it seems like you like a lot of players from Texas anyway, because the majority of Oklahoma's players are from Texas too. So maybe not a cancer, more like a cure. maybe our state's more like a cure to y'all.
All right, so I'll go through my spiel real quick. Can't believe the Falcons that way. The Bills look for real.
Yeah, the Bills look strong. Yes,
they look for real. Steelers.
Real quick, Patrick. Chiefs and Bills, most impressive teams this week.
Chiefs and Bills, yes. And the tier under that, Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, winning in Cincinnati.
And the Dolphins looked really good as well. So, Ravens, obviously, that to me, they just handled business. It was very interesting with the Commanders and Jaguars. Wentz,
it turned out to be a good game.
Wentz came out and played some football. Browns beating the Panthers at home.
Wait a minute, Baker Mayfield. Hey, didn't he say he was going to F them up? No,
he said he was he did. And apparently he still plays for the Browns because he threw two interceptions. He's still playing for the Browns. I don't know why the Panthers didn't pick him up. How about them Giants beating Tennessee?
Yeah, it was a pretty good game. And then Saquon Barkley, if he's healthy, he's a dynamic running back who can do a lot of things. His problem's just been staying healthy.
Yep. And then the Buccaneers doing the Cowboys where they did. Whew, man, Texas. We're gonna pray for Texas because they just cannot get right now. Now,
the Cowboys, they can stay over there. I'm not worried.
The Cowboys, dear Lord, I don't know what to say. Amen.
The Cowboys, look, I would pray for them to stay garbage, if anything.
Well, I don't know. Dak Prescott's injured, and they might win a game or two now.
They were going to be garbage if Prescott was in there.
They're going to be garbage no matter what.
Oh, Jonathan, you had Dak Prescott as your fantasy QB. Now, look, that is not that
He's
bad
not
of
a
a
bad
pick.
pick.
It's not because he can put up a lot of numbers against inferior opponents. So if you're looking for him for a fantasy dude, he's got you unless he gets
Yeah,
hurt.
put him up against the Falcons.
Yeah.
You'll get points there.
So- sorry, Jonathan. Sorry. Oh, you had him and Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, bad week. Bad week. But you know Aaron Rodgers, he'll get his stuff together. He'll play.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers will figure it out. You should have picked up was Patrick Mahomes. Sorry you didn't get him. But it's all right.
Now you know how that could go, Patrick. It just depends on where he was at. All in the draft order when it comes to it. If he's going backwards and forwards with the draft order, and then you just had to go get somebody, and then Dak was the best available or something. You know how that goes with the draft.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we knew Dak was going to be out for half of the season. We actually watched him take the 2 back-to-back hits to his thumb. Looks like the what did he end up actually doing? Spraining his thumb, and he's out for like 4 or 6 weeks, or is it broken actually?
Nuh-uh, Patrick, because according to the owner, Jerry Jones,
he'll
be back in 4 weeks.
Yeah, he ain't been back no 4 weeks. He ain't been back no 4 hours.
I don't have time.
I don't have time to have a bad time. Jerry Jones, man. Sometimes I just want to hang out with that dude for like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. So Patrick, before we move on to the next week's business, he got the one of the other games that caught me, the Chargers beating the Raiders and the Seahawks beating the Broncos on Monday night.
Yeah,
Seattle was able to pull that game out. Interesting decision there at the end.
Gino got me the mad points, man.
So interesting decision at the end for Denver. They decided to kick a 64-yard field goal instead of going forward on a 4th and 5 with Russell Wilson, the man that you're paying billions of dollars to. Yeah. And I guess apparently you're going to go ahead and put it in a field goal kicker's hands or on his foot.
64 yards away. First of all, Denver, you do not have Justin Tucker, just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all didn't know that when you were, picking your kicker, but you don't have. I bet, this is what I bet. I bet the coach thought he had Justin Tucker because Justin Tucker is actually on his fantasy line. That's what it is. Hey, no, send the kicker out there. I got Justin Tucker right here. Send him out there. We're good. Good as gold.
Hey, before we move on to the preview of the next week, did you mention the Eagles-Lions game by any chance?
I did not.
That turned out to be a very good game, man. 38-35. The Eagles, I think, are gonna be they're gonna be interesting to watch. And Detroit, look, I mean, the over/under before the season started, I think, was 6.5 in wins. I can see them getting over that. How much over? Not a whole bunch over. I can see them getting 7 though. And Detroit they play hard. And remember last year, they were in a lot of those games, so they could have had a better record last year too. Look like Detroit, and I got to give credit to Dan Campbell. It looks like he has them believing there. So they're actually favored to beat the Commanders this week. So really fun. So speaking of that, what other games are you looking forward to this week?
Oh, hold on. I gotta pull up the schedule for next week. So Broncos Beagles. They're playing in Buffalo. I want to see how well Russell Wilson plays on the road. Now, don't get me wrong. I have the Bills winning this game.
They're playing the Titans.
Where am I at then? Oh, my fault. I'm on the wrong week too. Sorry. Okay. Now I'm on the right week too. I was on preseason week 2. Sorry. Okay, so give me just a second. So the Commanders Lions, yes, that looks like a good game, and they got the Lions winning that. What's the spread on that?
2. I think last time I saw it was 2.
2.
Yep.
Oh, yep, there it is. Yep, 2. Interesting. And 49 is the over under. I don't think that's going to go. I'd definitely pick under on that. But I mean, Carson Wentz might come out there and just throw a bunch of touchdowns. No, I guess. Buccaneers Saints. I'm interested in this game because we were talking about this game while you were at the house, and I was like, yeah, I think the Bucs got it. I still feel good about that, actually. I think Tom Brady is going to. I think Tom Brady's going to fix some stuff that they messed up on, and do their thing. The Colts Jaguars. I know I wanted to bring this one up because I know you got something to say about that one. So,
dude, I got Jacksonville winning. Yeah, absolutely.
Jacksonville winning.
Yes. The Colts struggle in Jacksonville. It does not matter the situation. They always struggle there. And I just don't think the Colts are that good at all. They have a good running back. Jonathan Taylor's a beast at running back. They have a solid defense. But I'm not that big of a believer in Matt Ryan. You being an Atlanta Falcons fan, I know you can agree with me there. And so
and I told you I was going back and forth on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty solid with the Jaguars as well. I just started looking at. I watched the highlights of that game. And I was like, Ryan, ugh.
The Colts should have lost to the Texans. Man, they were down 20-3 to the Texans. And I think the Texans they'll compete. The Texans aren't laying down for anybody. They're going to play some ball. But the Colts should beat the Texans. They should not have to come back from 20-3.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, I agree with you. The Colts just, look, I 12 years, man. I move the needle in Indianapolis, and I just don't. The Seahawks and 49ers. I think that's going to be a good game. I got the 49ers winning that, but I still think it's going to be a good game. I think Seattle is going to, now that they got that first game out from underneath them, I think they're going to be very competitive. I think it's going to be a very competitive game next week. And then the Bears and Packers.
Yep, Sunday night.
That Tennessee Buffalo game is going to be pretty good too. But that was it.
All right, so I got the Dolphins and Ravens. I think will be interesting Sunday afternoon in Baltimore. Miami has an aggressive defense. When they played last year against Baltimore, they gave Lamar Jackson fits. They were blitzing him a lot, coming after him, and just had him just kind of confused out there, to be honest. So it was to see if Lamar Jackson can make those adjustments. That game down there, it was in Miami last year, so they got him coming up to Baltimore. And again, Miami's bringing a good defense with them. So I think that'll be pretty interesting to see how that game goes. The Chargers play the Chiefs on Thursday night. This is the first Thursday night game on Amazon Prime. So remember, y'all, that is Amazon got exclusive rights. We know it's going streaming all over the place now. So that game will be on Amazon, but I think that'll be a good shootout probably. You got Patrick Mahomes matching up with Justin Herbert. So I expect a lot of points to be scored there. You mentioned the Bucks and Saints. The Saints just match up so well with Tampa. That defensive line gives Tom Brady fits, makes him move off of his spot. And if Tom Brady is moved off of his spot a little bit, those throws can go either way. Doesn't happen often, but the Saints have managed to be really successful doing that consistently when they play. And with the game being in New Orleans, I like the Saints in that one. Now, granted, I'm going to say the same thing that I said about the Colts, about the Saints. probably shouldn't have to come back from 16 points down to beat the Falcons, but they had to.
Yep.
And I give the Falcons credit just like I gave the Texans credit. They played ball. I mean, both of those teams competed and they played. Just ran out of gas. And let's see, there was one more game. Oh, Vikings and Eagles Monday night too. So you got 2 Monday night games. The Titans and Bills, they're coming on at whatever 7:15 Eastern, and then the Vikings and Eagles are coming on at 8:30. So you got 2 Monday nighters this week coming up. You mentioned the Patriots and Steelers too. It'd be an interesting game as well. So actually, that week 2 could be very eventful. Real quick before we do a little breakdown of all the injuries and stuff, you mentioned the 49ers. That's a bad loss in Chicago. And I'm not trying to disrespect Chicago. That could be a tough place to play. I know they were playing in a driving rainstorm. If you saw those highlights, if you weren't watching the game, my God. But
you go hydroplaning.
yeah, that was actually pretty funny. But the Bears came back. I mean, the 49ers were looking good in the first half, and then the Bears came out, played tough defense, gave Trey Lance a lot of problems. So now people are saying Trey Lance sucks and he's never going to figure it out. I think that's stupid. But yeah, it's one game. I know. That the same people were saying Joe Burrow is not going to have the season that he had last year too after the game against the Steelers. So whatever. Well, Patrick, these injuries, man. I mean, you have some. We mentioned Dak Prescott. The Steelers have some injuries too. T.J. Watt is supposed to be out for 6 weeks, and he might be out longer depending on the opinions from other doctors. Najee Harris had a foot injury, but they said he's going to be good to go. Mac Jones had a back injury, so he was getting x-rays on his back. I don't know the results of those. From the sounds of things, it looked like it was precautionary, but we'll see. It'll be something to monitor as the Patriots go to Pittsburgh. And then you had there was some more injuries. The Chiefs had a few injuries too, and they got a short week coming up here.
Didn't they lose Adams?
Yeah. Seahawks lost Jamal Adams for a little bit as well. So I think I'll just go here, Patrick. And I know we talked about this before, but if you're going through the preseason, isn't there a benefit to just get your guys out there for a little bit? I'm not saying play them for the whole preseason game or even for all of the joint practices that go on. But do you see a value in getting your guys out there, getting a few reps, and getting a little bit sharper and actually hitting somebody? Because I mean, there's a lot of missed tackling this week, and it's because they're not practicing tackling. so if you have, to me, Patrick, if you have to play the preseason games, you might as well use them.
Yeah.
Instead of just going through the motions and saying, "Oh, well, it's a preseason game. We're just not going to play anybody." I don't know. If you got it, you might as well get the most out of them. If you ask me, what do you think?
The only person I see that even and I watched a few preseason games just to watch them, just to see how the players were playing. And truthfully, the only person I really saw that even took the preseason game seriously was Patrick Mahomes. That's about it. I mean, and look at what he did. No, I take that back. There was one other person that really took the preseason game serious was Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. He took it pretty serious. And look at what they did. They came out
sharp. They look really
sharp. And look, it's like this. I'm not a huge fan of the preseason games. I'm really not.
I agree. Yep.
Truthfully, give them one game. Let's start the season. If they need to get their 54-man squad, give them 2. The point that we have 3 or 4 or whatever it is, whatever we have now, it's too many. You're not doing anybody any justice with those last 2 games. Get out there, you give your first string, your first half, you look at everybody else in the second, and you do it both games. First half, I want to see my starters. And you better be playing, because come week 1, that's what all of this is for. Is to knock off all that rust. You're supposed to get in tune with all the passing. You better be tackling. But nobody's doing it. I only saw 2 people take the preseason serious, and it was Allen and Mahomes, and that was it. And look how well they did. They were sharp. They were on point. They were precise. They were surgeons out there tearing that defense apart. Where was everybody else? They were just out there for a paycheck. Come on, you gotta do the extra work. You gotta do what Allen and Mahomes did, because if you do that, week 1 becomes very competitive. And honestly, you probably eliminate a lot of these injuries that we have. Now, there's a few out there. Dak Prescott, there's nothing you can do about that.
Nothing. He banged his hand. He banged his hand against another dude's hand.
There's just nothing you can do about that. But who was it? Was it Montgomery who twisted his knee, or was it Adams? One of them twisted. You're not going to prevent every injury, but you are going to give your body that ability to say, it's that time. I need to start getting ready. It's that time. And Patrick Mahomes and Allen did that. To me, if you're going to play the games, if you have to play them, just go ahead and play them. Get out there and do your part. Even if it's just one series, just do your part, and then you got to sit on the bench. But be ready.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Patrick. The preseason games are not going anywhere because it's just part of the NFL money-making machine. So they're going to have those there. They're not going anywhere. You might cut down one, but the only way they're going to cut down one is if they add another regular season game and go to an 18-game schedule, which they will probably do because it's the NFL and they're just trying to make as much money as possible. That's just what they're going to do. But if those, like you said, if those games are there, you might as well take advantage of them. Get some work in, get some timing down, have your defensive players tackle, because that's what they're supposed to do, is tackle. And just like you said, get the body ready. That's what the preseason is for at the end of the day anyway. And you have these joint practices that you're doing as well. Take advantage of that time. I just feel there's just a lot of coaches that are out there who are so scared of getting their players hurt, getting them injured, and you're basically wrapping them with bubble wrap, fragile, handle with care signs all over them during the preseason.
Get side up.
You're right. And then all of a sudden they're just supposed to just wrap it up. Yeah. So I just think if it's there, if you gotta play them, just get the timing down. Like you mentioned, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I watched those two too, and they were out there every preseason game. At least for the first drive, getting work in. That's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to get work in. Just trying to get a little lather. Get some practice reading some defenses. Not that they need to practice. They're pretty good at reading defenses, obviously. But it's just about getting those reps in. And getting a little bit of game action in. To me, I think there's a lot of value in that. And I think in our I'm gonna say it, in our kinder, gentler society where nobody wants to get injured, nobody wants to play the players anymore. And I don't understand why. I understand you want them to be ready for the regular season, but I don't see the benefit in them just
sitting the bench.
Having handle with care signs all over them.
Get the reps in, because man, look at what I said it 4 times already. I'm gonna say it one more time just to put a nice number 5 on it. Allen and Mahomes played those games, they played their reps, and look how precise and precision they were. take advantage of it. And that's what they did. And hey, look, if nobody else is going to do it, Patrick Mahomes will, and that's what he does. And look at what he did. 5 touchdowns? Come on. What was it, 400? Well, how many yards did he throw for?
So I think he was, I don't know, this is off the top of my head, and I'm not for sure these are the stats, but it was something like 35 or 39 for 360 yards and 5 touchdowns. It was something like that. So
Crazy.
I don't know.
It's amazing what just repetition does for you.
Yeah. Just getting the work.
Yeah. Just put in a little work. He done what he's supposed to do in the preseason, and he goes out there and looks like a surgeon. And that's what he did. 31 for 35?
It was something like that, like 31 to 35, yeah. 31 to 35 or 35 to 39 for 360 yards and 5 touchdowns. So while Patrick just kind of stews into that brilliance, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man, because we're at our hour mark. So that will conclude this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Y'all make sure y'all visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and follow the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Jonathan, good to see you again, man. And don't be a stranger. I know things be all busy for you. I get it. You're a coach. I know. I got you. And I'm always messing with you, and you're always giving it back to us. So I appreciate you coming on back.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yes, appreciate you coming on back. And everybody else, hey, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We will be back next week. Football is going. It's in full swing now. And no, we're not saying that on the show, Jonathan. Ugh, I can't believe you left that comment. That's disgusting. Anyway.
And then he bounces out as the last comment.
All right, I know. So
Thanks, man.
You too, Jonathan. Take care, man. And for the rest of y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. And y'all take it easy, enjoy the games, and we will see y'all at the same time next week.